Hello there, my name is Larry Yoakum III, and I'm an independent author. I've published several books through Amazon's Create Space. Most of them are available on Kindle as well for Amazon's ebooks. So I want to talk a little bit about one of my books. It's a short story collection. It's called Yoakum's Compendium of Bizarre and Original Stories. Let me get you... That's the book cover there. I have the earth with a pentagram on it and several, in all four corners of the picture also, all-seeing eyes from the Illuminati. In my books, it's a shared universe. All my stories take place in the same world, just at different points, different places. A lot of characters will run into one another, stories get referenced in other books, etc. Well, this short story collection, it's actually comprised of two of my earlier collections through a publisher who I shall not name. But when my contracts are up on that and I decided to self-publish, I just put all those stories into this book, along with some other ones I'd written. A little bit about this book. There's a lot of stories in here, ranging in different aspects of horror, the supernatural, the paranormal, elements of sci-fi, and a lot of fantasy in the terms of dragons and magic and things like that. One of the stories is based off of a monster, or I wouldn't really want to call it a monster, little creatures I had nightmares about when I was about 5 years old. Anybody who knows me from when I was young, the Dew Monkey Dawhands. Now granted, it was just a child's nightmare, and I kind of tweaked on it a little bit. These stories are not meant for young children. Hate to say it, but there's some bad language in here. Ooh. Sometimes I even say the F word. And there's some other stories. One's called Paper or Plastic. It's about a grocery store in hell. That's all I'm going to tell you. You'd have to actually read it to find out more about that. The Witch of Roanoke. Well, it's about what really happened to the colony of Roanoke back in the day. I have a couple of stories about Santa Claus, and I wouldn't recommend reading them to children on Christmas. Let's see what else I got. I got one I wrote on a dare, probably about 20 years ago now. It's called I Am Balls. A friend of mine at work said, "Hey, I bet you can't write anything." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, write a story called I Am Balls." I went home that night and I wrote this, and he was actually impressed with it. I got one called The Lord of the Fries, which is about the horrible, demonic truth about the origin of French fries. But yet I still can't quit eating them. Let's see what else I got in here. The Circle of Unlife. It's a vampire story. My vampires aren't sparkly, whiny people who don't want to hurt humans. No, they love hurting humans. Humans are food to them. People are Happy Meals with legs to them. And they enjoy hurting people. One thing about my vampires, though, I have another series of books called The Targathian, but I'll talk about that at another time. But one of the main characters, one of the main creatures in that book are vampires. In my storyline, the vampires actually originate from the stars. I don't want to go into too much detail. Like I said, you got to read the book. But I give reasons for things like them being weakened in sunlight. Sunlight doesn't kill them in my books, but the solar radiation from any star will permeate into their cells and make them weaker. So you can fight them, they can fight back, but they don't turn into dust. But daylight on whatever planet they're on will hurt them. The vampires on Earth, however, they don't really know of their celestial origins, so they just think they're creatures from hell. And Circle of Life kind of touches on that. Because I believe, if vampires were real, the soul of the person who turned into a vampire gets to go to the other side. Heaven, hell, reincarnation, whatever you believe in. but that person's body and their memories are still walking around on Earth, feeding on the blood of the living. So, basically, you could run into yourself 100 years later. Your soul will reincarnate into a different body. You might run into that. Be a familiarity there because that soul used to reside in your body. Let's see, I got a few others in here. Oh, yes. This is definitely one not meant for children. It's called VC Legend. I'm from a small town in Kansas called Valley Center, and a lot of my stories take place around there. Kind of inspired by Stephen King. All of his stuff takes place in Castle Rock, Derry, places in Maine. A lot of my stuff takes place in Valley Center, Kansas, or the characters might be from there, might be taking place in Dallas and Georgia, wherever, but they're always usually from Valley Center. But they say, write what you know, so that's what I know. Also, probably why a lot of my protagonists end up being military veterans who work in warehouses. Got a lot of experience in both of those environments. Let's see, that's really all I'm going to talk about right now. And in case anybody's interested, it's only the 31st of August 2017 right now, but October 28th of this year in Rockwall, Texas, at Half Price Books, me and 3 other local Dallas-based authors are going to be there to sign our books, sell them for Halloween season. It's going to be all horror, sci-fi, fantasy, everything Halloween related. And in fact, this book, I might have extra copies of it by then. I'm primarily going to focus on my 3 main horror and supernatural books, though. So, if you're in the area, come on by. You might even find a favorite new book, favorite new author. Dana Burnworth, Brandon Henry, and John Moody are all going to be there. If you've read their stuff, I know I've read a few of them, so I know I like it. I know you'd like it. And with that, I bid you good day, and thanks for reading.